Okay. I was not going to shoot a video today. I wasn't going to do this. But there's some news. Another singer has hung himself. I don't mean to be bringing up dark things on this channel, but a couple people asked me what I thought about it. My friend Guillermo hit me up on Twitter just a few minutes ago. He's like, dude, shoot a video or something. And I got some emails asking me about it. And let's talk about Chester Bennington, man. I woke up to the news this morning that he had hung himself. When was it? Last night or today? 9 a.m. is when they found him. So this is crazy because it comes just a few weeks after Chris Cornell also hung himself. Chris Cornell and Chester Bennington were friends, and the word was that he was, you know, most likely he was pretty distraught over Chris's death. This is screwed up, man. Again, it feels like a boot goes through your heart. You don't understand what I don't understand it. These deaths never make sense, these celebrity deaths, especially because, you know, you think these guys have everything going for them, worldwide fame, families, kids, tens of millions of dollars, worldwide tours, accomplished all their dreams, but then there's something inside, this like ticking clock that never goes away, probably from childhood. But yeah, man, so they found him hung in his house this morning. And they said it was a big shock because he was supposed to do a photo shoot that day. Like one of the band members was coming to pick him up for the shoot. And the police were there. And there was a bunch of chaos and everyone was blown away. And they were supposed to go on tour, you know, in a week or something. I mean, it just made no sense. So I've been trying to make sense of it again. And I started losing my mind. And so I thought I'd turn on the camera and talk about it. And tell you just a story I had, just like with Chris Cornell. I had a story with Chester Bennington, not as up close and personal as with Chris, but I grew up in the 90s when Linkin Park came out, and they were a smash. They were huge. They were like after the alternative thing. There was a second wave of alternative that was more like Tool, Korn, Rage Against the Machine, and then after that was kind of like Linkin Park, Limp Bizkit, and I kind of started to lose interest in the whole rap rock genre. But I was a huge fan of Korn, Rage Against the Machine, and Tool. Then that kind of, like I said, it went into Limp Bizkit, and we all started to kind of get skeptical, and then Linkin Park, and it was another rap rock thing. And I always thought they were really good, but they weren't one of my favorite bands. Like, I respected their sound and their songwriting. It was crystal clear. It was amazing, catchy. They were hits. But I was never like a huge fan. But I respected his voice a lot because I've always loved singers that can sing high. And that dude, Chester, could sing high, and he could hit the note. His voice was amazing. And I only saw him live. I only encountered him once that I can remember, and that was at, where did they play? Not the Whiskey, not the Rainbow. What's the one in between? The Roxy. There's a supergroup. There was a supergroup. I guess there still is a supergroup in town called Camp Freddy that has, the core group is like Dave Navarro from Jane's Addiction, Chris Chaney from Jane's Addiction, Matt Sorum from Guns N' Roses, a couple other guys. And what they do is they're the backup band, and one by one they bring out guest musicians. And they're big ones. Like Ozzy Osbourne will come out and sing some Black Sabbath songs with them. And once I saw him bring out Steve Jones, who's the Sex Pistols guitarist, and they did Sex Pistols songs. So it's like the top of the top of the top of the top. Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top came out, and they did ZZ Top songs. And one night I was there. I used to go see him like every weekend, back when I first moved to town, and one night they were doing the show, you know, and they introduced the next singer who was coming out, and they said, from Linkin Park, Chester Bennington. To be honest, I remember thinking in my head, I was like, oh man, you know, I'm not in the mood to hear Linkin Park songs, but whatever, let's see what happens. And he came out, and he and Dave Navarro kind of fist bumped and high-fived, and they got ready to start playing. And they didn't play a Linkin Park song. They started playing, Chris Chaney starts playing the bass riff from Mountain Song by Jane's Addiction, which is, if you know me at all, or if you are a fan of Jane's Addiction, you know that song is a mind blower. It's one of my favorite songs by Jane's Addiction, probably one of my favorite songs by any band. Like, it's going to be in the top 20 of my favorite songs ever. And they started that riff, and I remember thinking, like, okay, they're going to do the Mountain Song with Chester singing. This is going to be bad. Like, this is going to be a train wreck. And then the guitars come in, the bass hits. The bass line's like boo doo 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 ba 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 da 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 da. And then the boom 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 boom, the band comes in. And Chester's kind of grooving around, man, and getting ready to go. And then the band stops and they go boom, and the vocals are supposed to go, coming down the mountain. That's how the song goes. And when the vocals came in, when Chester started singing that first line, I remember my jaw just dropped. I was like, what? Because it sounded so good. And I remember looking at Dave Navarro and at Chris Chaney and at the other guys on the stage, especially those two that were in Jane's Addiction, though. And they were rocking out, and when he started singing, they looked at each other like, wow. It's like, oh, I don't know if they had ever rehearsed it before or not, but they looked as surprised as we did. Then I looked around, and the whole place, everyone's jaw was dropped. Because if you're a Jane's Addiction fan, you're a little skeptical of a dude like Chester coming out and trying to sing a Perry Farrell vocal line. Like, it's really hard to sing Perry's stuff. To be honest, Perry can't even sing Perry's stuff anymore. It's so high and crazy and scratchy, and his voice was just like, when he was younger, it was just high and beautiful and ugly and just amazing. And when you go see Jane's Addiction now, like, he's in his 50s now. When he wrote this stuff when he was probably 21. So he can't quite sing it the same, but Chester nailed it note for note for note through the whole song. Everything perfect. They even had delay on the vocals, and when Chester was singing, it was like ringing the delay, like Perry Farrell uses in the song. And I lost my mind. I was like, holy shit. It totally blew my mind. I thought about Chester Bennington in a totally different way. I was like, everyone has their own personal opinion about the bands they like, and Linkin Park was not one of my favorite bands. I mean, I liked the song, I've become so numb. I always thought that was cool, but they were a little bit poppy for me. Not that they're a bad band, just my personal opinion was a little poppy. But man, when he hit that and sang that song, by the end of that song, I was like, okay, I'm a Chester fan. 100% I'm a fan of this dude now. Even if I don't like the band so much, he's one of the best singers I have ever heard. It's one of the few times you hear someone cover a song, like sing someone else's lyrics, and it's better. Well, let me say, it's possibly better. I remember thinking he might be singing it better than Perry did. I mean, it was kind of creepy. That's only happened a few other times in my whole life, and Jane's Addiction is one of them. They did Sympathy for the Devil, which is a Rolling Stones tune. And when I heard Jane's Addiction, I was like, their version's better than the original. You know what I mean? And there was actually a fist fight broke out at a party one night between my brother and another guy because we were arguing about whose version was better. My brother thought Jane's Addiction. This other guy thought the Rolling Stones. And they ended up getting into a knockdown, drag-out fist fight in the kitchen. They went through one of the doors that led outside, and it bashed in the glass. It was crazy. But it's one of the few times you hear someone sing someone else's music, and they might possibly do it better. I mean, he hit it perfectly note for note. And I had seen Jane's about 5 times since I moved here. And, Perry struggles with those songs, but Chester nailed it. No, nothing against Perry Farrell. He's one of the greatest singers in rock history. But Chester that night destroyed it. It was amazing. So I was always a fan of him after that. Not that I went out and bought all of their albums or anything, but I've always remembered that because it's very rare that I like someone singing a Jane's Addiction song. Like, it's very, very rare. But that was the one night I got to see him live and cross paths with him in that way. And I I don't know why his death is affecting me like this. I guess I do, because it reminds me that we're all going to die. You know, I hate to be saying this, but it's true. I've thought about it since I was a little kid, and as we grow up, you know, our grandparents' generation goes. I remember like Johnny Carson dying, things like that. That generation of stars. And then your parents' generation starts to go. You know, those stars, those celebrities, and those people that were in the public eye, and their generation start to pass away. And then now we're in our own generation, and those about 10 years ahead of us, they're starting to die, and it's just a big reminder that it's happening. But it's sad, dude. I mean, I don't know what to say, really. I remember when I heard the news this morning, I just couldn't breathe for like 3 seconds. Like, what? Like another? Like, how does this happen? But you know, they say sometimes it's like a domino thing, and sometimes someone else's death can affect someone in a way that it brings about their own. And who knows what the real reason is? Who in God's name knows? You never know what's happening inside someone's mind. Although I did hear, and I mean, I just read this online, that Chester had alluded that some stuff had happened in his childhood. And I can tell you from my own experience, you know, I'm still affected by things that happened to me when I was pre-teen, you know, 5, 4, 6 years old. And when something bad happens when you're a little kid, it never goes away. Ever. Like, you learn to deal with it, but if something traumatic happens when you're a little kid, you will carry it with you to your grave. And I see it happen. I see older people in their 50s, 60s, approaching 70s, still dealing with problems from their childhood. Like, it's really weird how that stuff sticks. So it makes sense sometimes. Like, and I noticed that in AA a lot. When I was going to AA every day for years, every story that I heard, like 99% of the time, there was some sort of an issue in childhood that had led them to where they were, to being a drunk or a drug addict or homeless or whatever had happened, or going to prison or whatever. It was all, if you traced it all the way back, and you could get them to go all the way back. You know, it's not that your wife left you. It's not that you lost your job. It's not that the band broke up. It's not anything. It's that thing that happened when you were 4, when your dad left home, or your uncle touched you inappropriately, or whatever it is. Like, that's the thing. That and they're 55 years old, running from it, you know, drinking, like, I'm not dealing with this. It's been 45 years and I'm still not going to deal with this. But who knows, man? I'm just rambling at this point. But my God, dude, R.I.P. to Chester Bennington. If you're a huge Linkin Park fan, man, I can't imagine. You know, when Chris Cornell died, I was a massive Soundgarden fan. Like, they were my religion for 4 or 5 years in my teens, and it was heartbreaking. It still is. I'm still just screwed up over that a little bit, and then this was another domino. It just feels bad. And I try to keep it positive on this channel, but sometimes you got to be real, man. It's not, life isn't good every day, you know. So I think you just have to be real about it, and today sucks. But that's all. I just wanted to do a video about it, get it off my chest. That's half of what I do here anyways, just get ideas out of my mind and off my chest. Hopefully help you guys in the meantime. So that's it, man. If you have a cool Linkin Park memory, or a good concert you watched, or a video you want to link to, post it in the comments. Let me know what you think. And I guess that's it. I'm going to get back to what I was doing. I'm drinking water and lemon. So water and lemon cheers. Take care of yourselves. My God, I don't know. Have a great day. Always see you in the future.